We're talking about it. Well, I think we should start again for Rabbi Yasso, just because that's the beginning of the sugya. Actually, it's not. It's before that. Let's see where we should start from. Maybe we should just start from. We'll try and start from where we finished last night. Shmuel Amar, which is 3, 6, 8 lines to the bottom. Shmuel says, by the way, this happens to be a great adventure. I'm still working on the same cup of coffee from 2 o'clock this afternoon. Still hot. Yeah. Okay. Says Shmuel Amar, Kosher v'chatas mesa, anything which is said by a chatas dies, kayetzi bo v'pesach, gufo karv shlom. In other words, the type of chatas which... Probably got stuck to the back of the envelope. Okay. So Shmuel Mar Kosher Mechatas Meisa Kayetzba Pesach Gufo Karb Shlomim. Shmuel said anything which by a chatas must die, because it's a type of chatas which is subject to halach moshe b'siyah that has to be starved to death. So by Pesach, it's such a devastating change that it can become shlomim itself, and it doesn't have to graze and then be redeemed, and the money used to buy a shlomim. Now, Vatin asked the Gemara, what about it? It says in our Mishnah, Patur. It says in our Mishnah that if you have a Pesach which lost all its owners, which by a chatos, if the owner of a chatos died, or some other way became defunct, I guess dying is the only way to do it, the owner of chatos died, so the chatos has to die. And in our Mishnah it says that if you sacrificed a Pesach where all the owners died, or they became members of another korban, so you're potter. Sarvim Meimar Potter Puzzle. So they want to say that Potter means you're Potter, meaning you're Tov Dvar Mitzvah. If you did it on Shabbos, you're not Chayev Korban. But nevertheless, it's Puzzle. The Korban itself is Puzzle. Says more Pasi and Lay. No, they explain that when it says in our Mishnah Potter, it means kosher as well. Rabbi Yasser Sheva Yochanan said to Rabbi Yehuda, this is our Mishnah is talking about, it's called Rabbi Yehuda. Really, it's not a case where everybody left the korban. If everybody left the korban, tackle might be possible. Rambam is talking about like Rabbi Yehuda. We learned over there. Ain't shech this a Pesach al yochi div Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi says you can't shech the Pesach for a solitary individual. Rabbi Yisrael matir im chabura of one. So like Rabbi Yehuda, Rambam is going like Rabbi Yehuda in a case where everybody pulled off the korban except for one person, but there's still one left, and that's why b'diavad, even though we say potter means kosher, and it's a valid korban as a shlomim. Because one guy's left. Rabbi Zira boy kumi Raimona. Rabbi Zira has a shlomim. Rabbi Zira has a shlomim. Yeah, can't be a Pesach. Rabbi Zira asks on the language, Kumi Rav Mona for Rav Mona. Hey Nashko, where we found that potter means kosher. Homer Lacey said, Tzinan Ocha potter, Utzinan Tamon kosher. I'll tell you, we learn over here that it's potter, we learn over there that it's kosher. He's referring to specifically the case in our Mishnah of La'ochlav Ishtalo La'ochlav. If you shech the Korban Pesach on Shabbos, for people who can eat and people who will eat and people who will not eat. So our Mishnah says potter. And early in the Masechta we said shachto lochlav v'shlo lochlav. It's not just potter but kosher. So we see that potter and Mishnah can be potter and kosher at the same time. Okay, v'akulam. On all these cases, Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan Broga used to say Omer tubar tzuros so v'yatzal beis hasreifa. You can't burn these korbanos. These korbanos Pesach are puzzle, and they're puzzle mamish, right? You can't use them as a shlomim. They're not. They don't fulfill the parameters of shlamim. But the key point here is he says they're not fully puzzle, and therefore, in order for them to be, once you shech them, you can't just burn them on the spot, but rather you have to wait till they become nosar. Literally means their form deteriorates, which means they're left overnight, they become nosar, and only they can be burnt. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yossi, Bakum, Rabbi Yossi. He asked Rabbi Yossi the following question. I understand where the owners died or became tamei, or they pulled off the korban. But what are we talking about? Manan kayomin. What are we talking about? Are we talking im b'chaim? If they pulled off while it's alive, pasul machshir. Then there's a very interesting term which I never saw before. And here it's brought to Yerushalmi, a couple of blocks later it's brought to Yerushalmi again. Pasul machshir means a quasi psul. Quasi pasul, not fully pasul. Pasul, which is still machshir, meaning that it's still somewhat kosher. It's a very interesting term. And a pasul machshir or psul machshir is the type of korban which you must have 2 bar 2 raso. Besides whatever psul it has, which is only a quasi psul, it also has to become nosar before you burn it. So ask the Gemara, if they pull off during the lifetime of the korban, pasul machshir, is it a pasul machshir? Pasul, it's outright pasul, right? I don't understand why you need ibur tzura. It's mamish pasul. They pulled off during the korban's lifetime, where the korban was slaughtered. There were no owners. There are no owners on the korban. That's it. The korban is definitely pasul. Well, there's no ifs and buts about it. So what's the case of Rich Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan and Broka said? It dafka is a case where you need ibur tzura. And im lachar shchita, if they pulled off after shchita, yesh b'shicha lachar shchita, and they can't pull off at all after shchita. Once the korban is shechted, it's fixed. So if they pulled off, so he's asking when they pull off. If they pulled off before the korban was slaughtered, pasul machshir, is that really a pasul machshir? Only a quasi psul for which you need ibur tzura? It's mamish pasul. If, however, they pulled off after shchita, it's not pasul at all, because they can't pull off after shchita, right? So which one is the one which requires ibur tzura? So says the Gemara, very interesting answer. Since he has reshus to pull off, but Leman brings down the name of the near. Since the guy who was originally at Korban A, and now during the lifetime of Korban A, now join Korban B, can still pull off Korban B and join Korban A until the absolute last moment. So even if Korban A lost all its subscribers, since until the last moment you can jump back on, therefore it's considered to be a psul machshir. In other words, since it's a rectifiable psul, it never became fully pasul until a knife was struck to its neck. Since it never became fully pasul, that's why Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan says you need ibur tzura before you burn it. Again, the way to read it is, since he can always pull off Korban B and go back to Korban A, that's why Korban A is only a pasul machshir, not a true pasul, and ton tzura, it's got to become nosar before you're allowed to burn it. Because there's no inherent psul in the animal. Where's the inherent psul in the animal? It's not like a bamu. It's not like a treifa. It's not like it even didn't have violin, because although it didn't have labayim at the last moment, until that last moment it had the possibility of being kosher. So there's no moment we can single out which became absolutely pasul. That's what he wants to say. Look, I agree with you. It's a very big chiddush and a very difficult svara. Don't get me wrong. But there's no other way to interpret the Gemara. That's the bottom line. It's hard to figure out what else the Gemara might mean. All right, well, so we'll come back to this concept of psul machshir, as I said in a couple of blot. In the meantime, the Gemara gets considerably easier now. No new parak. Ajla parak eitz elu dvarim. Kates atzonis ha-Pesach. How do you roast the corn Pesach? Shmucho rimoni, you take a pomegranate branch and you tochlo mitoch piv, you push it in from its mouth until its anus, and it hangs mouth down, right? The nose is crab best b'nei male l'socho, and you put its legs, which you have cut off in the skinning process, and its or whatever the butchering process, and its innards inside it, and you roast it that way. Basically, Rabbi Kiva Omer kamim bishulu. This is like cooking, because they're cooking on the inside. And not to cook korban Pesach, you hang the innards on the outside of the korban. Lama shorima, why pomegranate branch? Rabbi Chir Baba said, all wood is moist, and the moisture comes out. Literally, botzitzim means it wells out of the wood, bubbles out. The shorimon ain't a botzitz mashke. A pomegranate wood branch does not bubble out liquid when it becomes hot. Says more why. Manakim, what are you talking about? In belachin, if it's moist pomegranate, I feel shorima botzitz, even pomegranate bubbles out. If it's dry wood, I feel botzim, no wood bubbles out. Says Yerushalmi Pesachim. No, this is the way it learned. All wood, maybe it doesn't bubble on the surface, but the inside, the green part is moist, and that'll come out and it'll cook the Pesach on the inside because of the moisture which now enters the animal on the inside. Rimon, however, pomegranate, when it's dry on the outside, it's dry through and through, and there's no moisture at all which can bubble out. It said name Rabbi Yehuda. You use a metal skewer. They said no. The skewer itself becomes hot. And the inside of the animal cooks the animal, doesn't roast it because it's inside. So he said to them, that's not true. It doesn't get hot on the inside. Just like a wooden skewer doesn't burn on the inside of the animal, so too a metal skewer doesn't boil on the inside of the animal. They said, no comparison between wood and metal. Wood is a poor conductor of heat. If part of it becomes hot, the whole thing does not become hot. But a metal, if part of it becomes hot, the whole thing becomes hot, and therefore the section of the skewer which is inside the animal is going to boil the animal, which is of course forbidden. Tani, there's some who learned the Absar Mishnah. So that you stick the skewer in from the anus until you get to the mouth. The opposite of our Mishnah said from the mouth to the anus. So how do we reconcile the Mishnah and the Brisa? Al daite, well, the two Gersos actually, because the East Tani means they learned that way in our Mishnah. So Al daite the Hadin to Tanya Baroi, that Gersa which is outside the Mishnah, literally that we learned outside, Choser Vovcha teaches us that you turn it around. That first you cook it mouth down and then you cook it head down. Okay? No. First mouth down and then anus down, around the rear side down. You turn it around. Okay? Now ask the Gemara a very basic question. Rabbi Yosef allows you to cook the intestines and stuff on the inside of the animal, put them back. What about the blood? What do we say about the blood? So Rabbi Yosef is a kiach of Rabbi Yosef, because Rabbi Yosef says physically the meat inside is like a thick thigh. When you have a thick thigh, no matter how thick the slab of meat is, we say all the blood comes out when you roast it. So maybe when you put the intestines and stuff back inside the animal, so the blood just comes out. Just like the blood on the inside of a thick thigh exits all the superficial layers and comes out. So too here, in this case, all the blood inside the intestines and legs, which you put back inside the animal, will eventually travel to the outside of the outer surface of the animal now being roasted in the oven, and it'll come out. So is it a physical thing? Oh, kroi kadarish, a fascinating possibility. Perhaps he dashes the psukim. It says Rosh al-Krav al-Kirbo. Its head on its legs and on its intestines. So what do we learn from that? Even though the blood might get stuck, it's exeris hakosov. It's a special dispensation. The Torah itself said, cook it this way, roast it this way. So even the blood might get trapped in there, it's still permissible to do so. An amazing concept. So if it's a svara, it's a question if it's a svara or if it's a pasuk. And the Gemara don't pull no punches. Manavi, maybe know what's the difference, which way we learn. Sal yobi gdisha chulin. To do the same thing when you roast the regular plain goat. If you're going to say it's like a thick thigh, then of course the next word is a typo. It should be kosher. Then the same thing is viable by a regular animal, right? A non-kosher animal. If you say it's a special way, it's actually possible, then if you do it by a regular animal, it's going to be possible. Why? Because a regular animal, there we don't have the special dispensation. Those special dispensation, you can't get away with it. Okay? Isn't that amazing? Shocking! We're allowing blood for a Korban Pesach. It's like a Christian blood libel here. Right? Even though normally this should be also because of blood, on Pesach we'll say it's mutter here. If you could croak kadarish. Boy, you guys should be jumping. No, Bobby didn't dress at all. Bobby just assumed it was mutter. Chatach mimenu basar v'tzal. Well, another nafkina. What if you cut a piece of meat and he put it inside the Korban Pesach? Not the legs and the intestines, which the pasuk mentions, but another piece of meat. You cut off a steak and you stuck it inside the body cavity of the Korban Pesach which you're roasting. We're going to say Rabbi Yossi looks at it like a thick thigh. Then this is mutter as well, right? Kosher. You're going to say that's the psukim. So then Rosh al-Krav al-Kirbo, it's only the head on the legs and on the intestines, and everything else that you would put inside would render it possible. Okay? Because the only time dispensation for blood you would have would be for the crime, the legs, and kirbo, the innards.
Doesn't say to stuff it back inside the clothes. It just says
Tommy will address that towards the bottom of the armor. It says Yerushalmi further. Another nafkamina. Now this one I didn't get too much. I didn't get fully. I don't understand exactly what's going on. Maybe I can do it now. Soya b'chelev shok. It should be behevel. I'm sorry. Now should be not b'chelev. It's a typo. The Bnei Moshe says it should be b'chevel, and b'chevel means here hevel, and hevel means steam. So if you put the intestines and the legs over a pot, not in the Korban Pesach itself, but over a pot. If you're going to say it's like a thick thigh and that it comes out regardless, so then it should be, again, here the word should be kosher. In Tamar Kroi Dorish, you're going to say it's Dashim Psukim, Rosho Val Kirbo Val Krov Val Kirbo, then again it should be possible. Why? Because the only time I say it's permissible is if they are not in a pot, but rather if they are actually inside the Korban Pesach. And then there's a dispensation for the blood. But to put it in a way in which it's confined within the airspace of a pot in the oven, that would not be permissible. Again, if we say it's like a yerachaveh, that's like a thick thigh, so even in the confines of a pot, everything is going to come out. But if we're going to say it doesn't work that way, it's a special dispensation, that special dispensation only applies to the inside of Korban Pesach, not the inside of any other vessel or container. Okay? That's what I think it means. Says Gemara, lo kein tani. Didn't we learn sli eish, lo ktli tzli kdeira? I understand. How can you put it over a pot anyway? Doesn't say tzli eish. It's got to be roasted in fire and not roasted in a pot. Shani la. No, that's benogea begufa shel kdeira. It's a problem where it touches the Let me make sure I get this right. Yeah, it's only not allowed to. Way would explain that. It's only not allowed to touch the actual walls of a pot. But you put it in the airspace of a pot, perhaps that's permissible. Now,
It's steam that's cooking it, not the flame. You said
heat.
the heat.
I meant heat. You're right. I said steam. That's a very bad word to use. I meant to say heat, because obviously steam would be cooking. It means the heat of the oven with a barrier of a container in the middle. Okay. It says the Gemara, the following Gemara will tell us that Kroi Dorish, that Rabbi Yossi Haglil is Darshnik Psukim. What does the pasuk say? Hakom Modim ba'olav shu samuch. Everybody agrees that olav, the word olav means adjacent to. Ma pligin, what's the machlokes? Ba'al, what the word al means. Abba Sholomer, ala maracha, when it says that you have to put the frankincense on, frankincense for the lechem aponim, on the maracha, on the arrangement of the breads. How many breads were there? 12. So he learned that it means samuch maracha, adjacent to the breads. Rabbanan say al maracha means al gagosh maracha, literally on the top of the arrangement of the breads. Atzi Rabbi Shol Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shol goes like Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbanan go like Rabbi Yosef Lili. How so? Because Rabbi Shol holds that it can be even on the. It doesn't have to be on them. When it says al, it means just adjacent to. So the Akiva holds the innards of the corn paste that don't have to be on; they can be adjacent to. The Akiva holds you to hang them next to him. But Rabbanan hold that the breads have to be on the maracha. The breads have to be on the the frankincense has to be on the show breads. Okay, this is half of the shulchan. These are 6 of the loaves. On the other side, there were another 6. Okay? So actually, the frankincense, it was, I'm sorry, I made a big boo-boo. It was 6 and 6. 6 and 6. It wasn't 3, 3, 3, 3. It was 6 and 6. But he holds that the jug of frankincense went up here in the top bread. Is that clear? Till al marach is literal. That means that the jug of frankincense, which later they libated on the mizbeach, had to go all the way up here. It says al maracha on top of the arrangement. Okay, so that's the old al means literally on top, like like who is that? Rabbana. But you're like Abba, so it's adjacent to. Rabbi Yossi Omer. Now here's a very interesting Gemara. Rabbi says, "Afilu asan shnei storm shal basrei." What happens if you instead of putting 12 lechem upon table, put 14 instead of 6 and 6, 7 and 7? So what's that? He says it's kosher. One is kilo el yoina. You look at the top level, which is superfluous if it's not there. But the bottom ones are kosher, meaning the bottom 12. So Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Boom, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi V'Abashol B'Shitas Ramei B'Shulchan. Rabbi who said that that's okay if you have 14. He's got to hold like Abashol. He can't hold that the levona is on top of the breads. Because the levona is on top of the breads, what's it on top of? The extra beds, right? So we are told that the levona was on the table itself, between the two rows of breads, between the two columns of breads. And that must be B'shitas Rabbi Meir B'shulchan. Rabbi Meir the Shulchan was 6 by 12. 6 tefachim by 12 tefachim, which gave a tefach in the middle. So Machlokas the Shulchan was 6 tefachim by 10 tefachim, 12 tefachim, or 5 tefachim by 10 tefachim. It was 5 by 10. There was no room in the middle for the bazichin. They had to be put on top of the breads. But if it was 6 by 12, there was a tefach in the middle for the bazichin, and then they were put in the middle. And that's the sheet of Rabbi Meir. Okay? Again, it's a Moshe Re'ochan. So Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Shol, B'shitas Rabbi Meir B'shulchan. They go like Rabbi Meir's opinion on the Shulchan. Now, that's the end of that sugya. And what we see here is that Rabbi Yossi clearly learns al is literal. What does he learn the word al means? On to on. Not like Rabbi Akiva, which means adjacent. So al, he learns, obviously you can't put it on top, so al, he learns that it means literally inside, he learns that from the pasuk. Tuch bar, Diva Rabbi Tafra. How used to roast the Korban Pesach until it was inside out, meaning everything was fully done. Toch, inside, bar, outside. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, Mikulos. Rabbi Shmuel says, no, I said that terribly. That was absolutely wrong. Toch bar means not how much it has to be cooked. I apologize. It's getting mixed up with the Bavli. Because the Bavli says you cook things tuch until they're fully boiled. Or they're bubbling away. Right? That's not what he's referring to. Toch bar means you take the intestines out and you put them on the outside, like Rabbi Akiva. Toch, inside, bar, outside. Right? Rabbi Shmuel, Mer Mekulas. Rabbi Shmuel holds Mekulas, which means filled or stuffed, which means you stuff the intestines and legs back inside. As for Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Thomas going to Rabbi Akiva, so you put the intestines next to it, not inside it. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosef, so you put them inside. The Tani we learned. What's a Gdiyam Makulas? The same thing Rabbi Yosef has been advocating the entire time. Kulo Tzli, it's in the entire thing, it's Tzli, and it's all together. Rosha al Krav Vam Kirbo, the head on the legs and on the intestines. Shrak mixas or bisha mixas. What if you cook very much or cook the impartially? The Korban Pesach goat, right? So then it's not Eina Pesach G'dim Mekulas. It's not considered to have the mile of G'dim Mekulas. On the other hand, it doesn't have the concern of G'dim Mekulas. Because what are you not allowed to eat Bisman Hazeh? G'dim Mekulas. Even the Sephardim will have the minhag to eat lamb Pesach night. Roast lamb, mind you, they still don't eat G'dim Mekulas, meaning stuff with the intestines. Okay? So that's another nafkamina. The nafkamina is that if you, as long as part of the gedi is cooked, let's say you stuck a leg in a soup, even while it's still connected to the animal, that's not considered to be G'dim Mekulas anymore. And then you'd be allowed to use that gedi, that goat, for your meal Pesach night. Okay, despite the fact that you stuff the innards back in and all that stuff. Okay?
Stuffing of the innards.
Yeah.
Always to have my books. We haven't really resolved this. Because in terms of kashrus, simple kashrus, that's trade.
Right. Oh, right.
So I guess what you're saying is...
But the Bavli gives a teretz on that. I neglected to say it. I think even the Yerushalmi gives the teretz in some place, if I recall correctly. Maybe not. The Bavli gives a teretz that says when you roast it upside down, the blood drips out.
Even from the inside?
Even from the inside. But obviously Yerushalmi is not going with that. So but independently of that, there's an Issa Kedima Kulas Pesach night. And that Issa Kedima Kulas you get around as long as you cook a little part of it. Even the rest of it is completely roasted lamb, as long as the little part is not roasted. Now, Machnisin Kedima Kulas, when it's allowed to eat a Kedima Kulas, bring literally Machnisin brings to bring it in, but it means to eat it. On the first night of Sukkot, no shock there, right? And on the last day of Pesach. Now, that also should be no shock. Liebman brings out a Girsa, though, which is the much bigger Chiddush, that it should be B'yotav Harishon Shel Pesach, the first day of Pesach, but not at night, during the day. For lunch, you can have roast lamb, but not at night. Okay? Machnisin Ega Makulas, however, roast cow beef, right, roast beef, that you can use B'leil Yoter Rishon Shel Pesach. You can use the first night Pesach as well, V'lo Kedim Makulas, but not this stuffed goat. Tani Yom Rabbi Yossi said, Tudus Ish Romi, Tudus the Roman, Inigas Anshe Romi, made a custom in Romi, Shu Ochlin Gedoyim Mekulasim L'Psachim, that they may eat the Gedoyim Mekulasim on Pesach night. Shochu Chachomim V'amuloi, Chachomim sent the message and said, Ilule, Shatodus, we are not the Chosh V'yid Todus, you don't think we would have put you in the Kherim? You bet you would have put you in the Kherim. Would have zapped your heart. Mao Todus says, well, who's this guy Todus? And in other words, why didn't they put him in Kherim right away? Dava, it should be Mishaleach. Parnas saying the Rabbanan. He used to send merchandise to the rabbis in order they should be able to make money. So he used to help them out. So obviously, they couldn't put him in the Kherim, right? That's right. That's like, putting Reichman in the Kherim. Ain't nobody going to do that. All right? Other Rabbanim are always in danger of being put in the Kherim. But a Baal Bas is never in danger of being put in the Kherim. Chatz Shalom is not saying that that's flat in the Gemara. I'll tell you about contemporary conditions. Okay. Says the Gemara, Lo nimtzeis mevias Rami de achilas kochi b'chutz. This is a continuation of what they said to Tudus. Don't you realize they're bringing the masses to think that they're eating karbonis outside the Beis Hamikdash? Shekor mevi Rami de achilas kochi b'chutz. Anybody brings the masses to eat kochi b'chutz or to perceive that they're eating kochi b'chutz, tzarich nida got to put them in the cheder. Rabbi Yosa, Rabbi B'Shem Rav says, Zosa Maris. This meticulous forbearance from indicating anything outside the Beis Hamikdash may even remotely be kochim. Teaches us, the person may not to his friend, here's money, but say and go buy with them basar lepesach, even though he means the yontiv of Pesach. Because what is the connotation, possibly? Korban Pesach. Even though he's buying dead, slaughtered meat. So you might think that he's buying dead, that's Pesach. Rather, what must he say? He says to him, take this money, but say, take me meat to roast, but not mention for what, how they, what purpose. Okay? Rabbi Ami boy. Rabbi Yana asks a very interesting question, which the Bible asks as well. What if you scraped out the coals of the fire, and then you roasted it in a hot fire without coals? Is that considered to be tzliyesh? Rabbi Yana says, Ma tzvicholek Rabbi Yosef. It's only shayes Rabbi Yosef Glili. Like Rabbi Yosef Glili, he has a shayla, I forgot why. Yeah, no, but Rabbi Yitzchak also dashes the pasuk literally. Rabbi Akiva doesn't. So I think when Rabbi Akiva it's pasha that it's good. Because Rabbi Akiva doesn't require the pasuk to be literally fulfilled. Rabbi Yosef is what it requires literally fulfilled. So Shilas, what's tzliyesh? Does there have to be a fire right now in order to be considered to be tzliyesh? That's the question, okay? So again, the Yerushalmi says, Matzur leik Rabbi Yosef li, Rabbi Akiva, it's pasha that it's good. Rabbi Yosef said, no. But if you look at Rabbi Akiva tzrich lei, you like Rabbi Akiva, it's a problem. Mashal, let me get... So I never saw this before in either shas. Mashal means, let me give you a for instance. A mashal. In explaining my question. If you have coals in the airspace of an oven, so the meat gets cooked after half an hour. However, if the coals are outside the oven, right, then nitzla shah, it takes an hour to cook. So I think I got this wrong. 1 second. Yeah, I got it wrong. I apologize. Let's go back 4 lines. And I look at the carbonated before I look at Pnei Moshe. Now I look at carbonated. I realized I was wrong. Rabbi Yosef means like Rabbi Yosef it's efshir, it's kosher. Why is it possible it's kosher? Rabbi Yosef because anyway, the intestines and innards of the Korban Pesach don't get roasted; they get cooked, right? They get cooked because they're encased in the Korban Pesach itself. So maybe Rabbi Yosef, even if you don't have fire directly in contact with something, it's still considered to be roast. In other words, the fire is on the Korban Pesach. The inside is more cooked, but since the outside is being heated by a fire, so therefore the inside is considered tzliyesh too. So maybe here too, where you remove the fire source, since the heat is still coming from a fire, maybe that's also called fire. Just like the innards, which are one step removed from true fire, are considered tzli, so too, when you took the eish and removed the entire oven one step from fire, maybe it's still considered to be tzliyesh as well. Right? So like Rabbi Yosef, it's a question. But like Rabbi Akiva, that it's possible. It's certainly possible for Rabbi Akiva. Why is it possible for Rabbi Akiva? It's possible for Rabbi Akiva because Rabbi Akiva says, the innards have to be outside the animal. That means they too have to come in contact with the fire. So if the innards are inside the animal, it's not going into contact with the fire. So that's definitely possible. Says more, not true. Not true. I'll give you a marshal. If you look at Rabbi Akiva tzrich. You don't like Rabbi Akiva, you can ask the question. Marshal, let me give the marshal again. If you have coals in the inside of the oven, it takes a half an hour to cook the Korban Pesach. If you have the coals outside the oven, and the oven is only hot because of residual heat, then it also cooks. So nitzul l'shah, but only it takes an hour, another half an hour. So what? Who cares? What do we see from this? That what makes it cook faster? No, I got it wrong again. It means like this. He's saying an oven truly roasts. Because if you have coals inside the oven, it takes a half an hour to heat. If you have coal to roast. If you have coals outside the oven, and you're cooking over the coals on an open fire, it takes a half an hour longer. So we see that what the oven is a source of heat, and I don't know, heat source is the right word, but enhances the heat, and that's what causes it to cook quicker and speedier.
It encases the meat in the
No, that the Gemara is going to say later. Right, the Gemara is assuming that the oven actually is part and parcel of tzli. If it's in an oven, it gets nitzle quicker. That's the Gemara. So therefore, even according to Rabbi Akiva, perhaps roasting in a fire, in an oven bereft of fire, is still roasting, because we see that the oven enhances the roasting process. So it must be that ovens roast, not just fire. Says more no. It's not that the oven is assisting the coals in cooking. It focuses heat. That's what you meant to say, right? It concentrates heat. The oven doesn't contribute heat, it concentrates heat. And therefore, according to Rabbi Akiva, who requires true fire, the oven will do the fact an empty oven is not considered to be a valid form roasting according to Pesach. Right? And that's why when the coals are in the oven, it's a half an hour. When the coals are outside the oven, it's a full hour. Not because there's no heat focused, but not because the oven is a heat source. Okay, ain't source a Pesach. You can't roast the Pesach. Lo b'shbud. Now it's a metal skewer. Lo b'askol, not on a grill either. Amar B'Tzadik, my son Gamliel Shemar Tavio. They once said the Tavi is servant. Tzayud slain on a Pesach Atzkula. Go grill for us according to Pesach. But Noga B'Chesu Shel Tanur. If the Korban Pesach touches the side of the oven, so then Yiklov is Mekomo. You got to peel off the side where it touched because that cooked. Came into contact with the surface. Not the mirot v'alcheres. What if some sauce of Korban Pesach fell on pottery? The Chazal 11 goes back on the Korban Pesach. Also Yitos Mekomo. You got to take off the plates because that sauce became cooked by the wall of the oven, and now it turns around and cooks the Korban Pesach. That's no good. Okay. Not the mirot v'alsoles. That flour, which got cooked because of Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach itself is intact. It's the flour which is now possible because the flour was cooked by the Korban Pesach. Now we'll discuss that in the Gemara. It says more tzli yesh lo tzli shpot, because it says roast on a fire, not roast on a skewer. Lo tzli no roast in a pan. Lo tzli askalo, no roast on a grill. Lo tzli mateches, no roast on metal. The lo tzli cold over, not roast in any way, shape, or form. Says the Gemara. Similarly, we have halacha about michvas heish, if a person is burned by fire. Vis-a-vis tzaras, right? That michvas heish could be a possible first sign of tzaras. Yochol moreres is it talking about where you have a burn wound which is still moist, that there can become tzaras. The choisa mikvas amichi. No, it has to heal only if it's not moist anymore. If it's somewhat scabbed over. Michias amikva, if it's still alive, in other words, it's healed. Yochel akshatasa tzalekas. Maybe you don't care. It's not considered to be tzaras until it becomes an actual scar. Tamlomri michvas eish. No, because it says michvas eish. Ketzad, what do it mean? Michvas eish. That means choisa v'lo choisa. If it's partially but not fully healed, that's what can get tzaras. And so too it says subsequently. So reves hamichvehi. When it's a reves hamichve, what is that? That means achetikron keklipas hashum. Now there's a large typo here. Look in the Korbaneda in the last of narrow lines. Hachi Garcina. Ukshu Omer Lamatan Tzareves Michvahi Achetikron Klipas Hashum. It has to have a scab the size, the thickness of a garlic peel, only then it is Mikabel Tzaras. Now, all that is not what we brought this down for. What we brought this down for is for the following lines which the Korbaneda brings down. I only know that for a burn from fire you can get tzaras. Nichve beremetz. What if you got to burn from hot peat? B'sid rosech, hot lime. Kivsis, something else. Rosech, olive skins, which are broken up, olive refuse. Uvchami, or in hot water. How do we know also that you're considered to be candidate for tzaras? Tam lomer michve, no matter how you got burnt. If that's the case, there it says michvas eish. I would say it doesn't matter what the medium is, as long as heated up by fire. But here we said sli eish, if we said dafka roasted by fire, not roasted by anything else. How do we reconcile the two? Just like over there, we're expansive about what can cause the burn, so there should be expansive about what can cause the roast, right? Says more no. Rabbi Lezer Tamad sli eish. Ki'im tzliesh. Excess verbiage. Miutim. Ki'im tzliesh. Only tzliesh. Sharalev akosu lakev. Right? It says tzliesh and it says ki'im tzliesh. But repeat in order to focus it narrowly. Let's say this is how it must be done. But here, vaisa michvats. Here it says just vaisa michvats without an additional ki'im tzliesh. So michvah kom anyway you get this burn. I'm not sure, but I have to do another reason. Taman by Kol Pesach, it says Chukas Torah. Chukas Torah means exactly as written in the Torah, as engraved in the Torah. And therefore, since the Torah says, by our case, by the Sliyesh, it says Chukas Torah must be precisely roasted like they did over an open fire in Mitzrayim. Supposed to anywhere else, it doesn't have to have that rigidity. Over here by Tzaras, there's no such rigid precondition. Now, ask Gemara, lately Ram Gamliel Tzliesh. Ram Gamliel, who did grill on a grill, doesn't he hold the Tzliesh? So he says, it's a fascinating thing. It says Pesach Mitzrayim Tzliesh. It says Tzliesh. You know what had to be Tzliesh? The Pesach in Egypt. But for all generations, ain't Pesach Hador Tzliesh. Pesach for all subsequent generations not at meat Tzliesh. It can even be grilled or fried or whatever the case may be. What?
How does he derive that?
From the placement of the psukim. They're placed in the description in Parshas Bo of how to do Korban Pesach. He says that they're not essential. Okay? Says more further. Something like that, yeah. It comes out later in Karvi Pesachim. Yeah. What's okay? Says more further. I don't think though it says Alayla Zekulot sleep.
No, probably. I think it's Alayla sleep. All other nights.
It's like Alayla Zemoror, Alayla Zet sleep. Yeah.
Other nights it's sleep.
Yeah, saying like that. Okay. But Ran Gamliel doesn't know that way. Ran Gamliel's kids didn't say that. Right? Vice versa. Rabbi Yezer said, Ran Gamliel, no, you got it wrong. Ran Gamliel dashes Tzliesh like everybody else. Ran Gamliel's typos here. Ran Gamliel Avid told us Eish, he says that which comes from fire, meaning a grill, is Keish, is like fire. So Sai doesn't know the Tzliesh. He holds that a grill is like the fire itself. Rabbanan, again the same typo, the reverse. Loved in Tolos Eish. They don't say that which comes from fire, meaning a grill is like fire itself. Ask more a theological question. Gamliel is arguing on all the other Chachamim, yet he follows his own opinion. Now this is a shocking question, and the Gemara here doesn't answer. Because Gamliel always held that way. Gamliel was the Nasi who was deposed because he was adamant in his own opinion. But maybe they knew this is after he was deposed. So say, how can he follow his own opinion? Right? He was overruled. Okay, but the Gemara goes on. Ilu amar lo sochlu mimenu kim tzliesh. So now we go to the Starship Psukim, where the Psukim just have said, do not eat from it roasted. Only roasted. No, and it didn't say do not eat from it only partially cooked. I would have said hiva vovid soya if you just singed it when you were roasting it. You didn't fully roast it. It's not well done, only lightly touched by fire. That suffices, right? Have it tzarich shiur no. That's what it says. Lo tochlu menu no. That has to be fully cooked. Oh, on the other hand, ilu amar lo sochli menu kim tzliesh. Where it only said lo sochli tzliesh, but not lo amar would not say don't eat ubashel. I would have said shoko if you fully cooked it. Soko means overcooked it, and then soyo, then roasted it. Yeah, mutter. As long as you ended up roasting it, even though you cooked it earlier, that's okay. That's why I have it tzarich shomar ubashel has to be don't eat it cooked. Oilu amar al tochli mimenu kim tzliesh lo amar mevushal. Doesn't just say the word bashel. It also says don't eat mevushal. Al tochlinu na ubashel mevushal. So why didn't it also the word mevushal? Because we're not to have said mevushal. I would have said bishlov etzloyo. If you cooked it overly much, shlika, and then roasted it, that's no good. But bishlo, you only cooked it a little amount, and then soyo, and then roasted it, mutter. I might say it's mutter. Have a tzarich shiomar mevusha. That's why it has the same. Have a tzarich shiomar mevusha b'noah. The tzarich shiomar basha. Tzarich shiomar mevusha. Each one of these precludes something. Noah precludes only partially roasted. Basha precludes overcooked and then roasted, and bevusha precludes somewhat cooked and then roasted. These are all things we had in the Bavli. If you ate a kazayis partially cooked before Pesach begins, it's tiny chayiv. Some say you're chayiv. He's tiny potter. Some say you're potter. Manamar chayiv. He says you're chayiv. Atochli menu no. Says do not eat partially cooked. Mikol no matter when you do it. Umanamar chayiv. You said you're chayiv. Says I'm sorry, I misread that. Mandamar chayav atolim menu mikol makom. Mandamar potter b'shashu kumach otzli. When you're required to eat it roasted, as the mitzvah say, hu b'bal tochana, then you have to lav to eat it partially cooked. B'shash enu kumach otzli. When you do not yet have that mitzvah say, enu b'al tochana, you don't have to lav as well. Simli shavar b'letzem ibod yo. You broke it in the corn Pesach a bone before Pesach begins. So same idea. These tiny chayiv, some say chayiv, these tiny potter, some say potter. Madamar chayiv, he says chayiv, that's a losish brubo, mikomokom, whenever you break it, you transgress it. Madamar potter, he says potter, b'shash eno, b'kum echotzi, we're not required to eat roasted, eno mishum vetzem losish brubo, there is no problem of vetzem losish brubo. B'shash b'kum echotzi, when you're required to eat roasted at night, hu mishum vetzem losish brubo, then there's a problem of breaking bones. Noga b'cheso shel tanor. Now, if the Pesach touches the side of the oven, psula gufu. Pesach is inherently puzzle. V'nisav miyana, it's born immediately. Notav mirot v'alacheres. If some of the sauce falls on some of the sauce falls on it and then falls back on the korban Pesach, psul machshiru. It's only a partial psul, right? Because the Pesach itself didn't touch it, it's sauce which came back. So it's a partial psul. The tone tzura, it's got to become noser before you're allowed to burn that part on which the sauce dripped. Notaf al mirot v'al solas. If somebody dripped on the solas, yikmotzes makomo, you take off that solas, you don't eat it. Why? Chia barav Shem Shimon Loch said, "Harder tema brosachas." That's where the solas was hot. So the solas cooked that sauce. And that even the sauce of the korban Pesach may not be cooked by something other than fire. So therefore, you're not allowed to eat the sauce nor the flour which it touched. But if the flour was cold, then it should be mushari or mutter, because in that case, of course, the sauce is cooking the paste, the flour. That's okay. It doesn't say that the sauce can cook something else. It's that the sauce cannot be cooked from something else, but so the sauce can cook something else, and therefore the kemach is only also sold if it itself was hot, not if it was cold and was cooked because of the sauce. Okay, they're raring to go from Marav here.